Monday morning. Hey, everybody. This is Jeremy coming at you once again with Redtired Podcast, and I'm here with my buddy, my best pal, What are you doing? I don't know what you're doing. That's a nice chair, though. This is going to look great on YouTube. Anyways, good morning. How's everybody doing? Glad that you're here. Jacob will be with us momentarily after he gets done farting around with his George Strait chair. Hey, welcome, Jacob. Glad you could join us.
Yeah, chair sucks.
What? What's wrong with it?
Oh, I heard cracking and I looked at it and a little piece broke off.
Yeah. Is it made out of plastic?
Cheap aluminum.
Well, maybe it's just a decorative chair. Did you ever think about that?
Yeah, I don't think you're supposed to either sit on it for long term. I think it was only made for like a 2-hour concert.
So you should probably go ahead and take that bad boy up and put it away and put it on display or something behind you on the wall. Yep. Like because I mean, I'm just going to be honest with you. It'd be much prettier decor than, say, I don't know, a tool bench.
Yeah.
And speaking of decor, you ingrate, you dirtbag, you didn't notice my curtains. I pointed them out to you, and you're like, oh, yeah, curtains.
They look good.
I know they do.
Curtains. What are you? They're curtains.
They're professional looking. Thank you. I happen to like
my
them.
Messy ass tool chest in the back.
Well, I mean, it works for you, I guess. It gives the illusion that you're actually doing something with your life. Oh, got him.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't get him. That was kind of sad.
That's like one of my last to-do list.
Oh, the tool chest is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
I still got to do a few things actually I need to do today.
Yeah,
we don't like the dining room light, so we're changing that out today.
You got to get your curtains done. You got a curtain coming in. He told me beforehand that the blinds were closed, and I didn't believe him, but whatever. And now he did do me a favor. He got some lighting done, so his face is lit up a little bit better. So we can appreciate that. Thank you for lighting up your face. We like to see how you look. I know it's early in the morning, but well, actually for you, it's almost noon.
Like that.
Ooh, that looks awesome.
See my chocolateness up close.
Your chocolateness? Is that what it is? Milk chocolate? Jeez. That makes me white bread, right?
Yeah, I'm Nutella.
Oh my God. So, couple of things. Today we're starting a new series, and we're calling a series, a whole series.
10 episodes.
We're shooting for 10 because reasons. I don't know. I guess there's 10 commandments, so we need 10 episodes. We're going to call this series "Digging Out." And this is kind of a guide, if you will, on how you get from a dark place in life to maybe a better place. Maybe this is the process that you need to walk out to kind of get yourself into a great place. I know for me, if I would have had some of the information that I have today, I don't know, say 5 years ago, I'd probably be a lot better off than I am right now. I don't know for sure. What about you?
No, yeah. And it's not going to be easy. And, one of the episodes I know me and Jeremy are going to talk about are the challenges that are going to lay ahead of you and how to overcome them without subduing to anger and emotion and going into that place that, Jeremy and I, we brought it up in the earlier podcast about your primitive side and kind of just look things at in an intellectual way and be like, you know what, this is temporary. Let's figure the solution out, and then from there carry on.
Yep.
And learn from it.
Yep. We've been asked a couple of different times by some different people. One in particular that you mentioned was a guy that we served with, and I'm not going to bring up names because I don't know how he appreciates being mentioned or not. But one of the things that he said to you when you were in contact with him recently was like, I want to do, how did you guys get to where you are? How did you get to the point that like, you don't have to go work the 9-to-5 job? What did you do differently? And that method is different for everybody. And I think that that's a part of this process though. And so that's probably one of the episodes that I'm going to cover a little bit more is how did I get from working the 9-to-5 job to I don't have to do it anymore. And for me, you know, everybody's got their own method, their own different ways of doing things like that. And so I'm just going to lay out kind of what I did and maybe help develop a plan for some other people if they're interested in that kind of thing. But that's not today.
No.
But before we get into all the fun stuff, we got to get the current events out of the way, because current events are, well, they affect us all and they're stupid. So I got two things. We'll just go ahead and hammer through these real quick, get your perspective, get my perspective, break it down, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. It's going to be a great time. So here we go. A group petitions to join this state, blaming Oregon's liberal Democrats. This group is a frustrated group in Oregon, and they're conservatives. They've tried everything from voting out Democratic state officials that they consider too liberal to recalling the state's governor and appealing to their Washington representatives. Now they want to leave the state by moving the border with neighboring Idaho westward. And this was published in a report on Monday. The group, Move Oregon's Border for a Greater Idaho, has secured initial approval from 2 counties and has set a goal getting enough signatures to put the proposal on the local ballots in November, USA Today reported. Barring a setback, voters in southeastern Oregon could see a question on a redrawn state border with Idaho, the newspaper reported. Rural counties have become increasingly outraged by laws coming out of the Oregon legislature that threaten our livelihoods, our industries, our wallet, our gun rights, and our values. We tried voting these legislators out, but the rural Oregon is outnumbered and our voices are now ignored. This is our last resort. Last year, a controversial bill protesting the greenhouse gas emission caused state Republicans to flee Salem, the state capital. Democrats currently control both branches of the state legislature as well as the governor's mansion. So, wow, there's no gridlock whatsoever. That's insane. However, Valerie Gottschalk, that's a funny name, Gotts, Gotts, chalk, Gottschalk. Hey, you got some chalk? I'm Gottschalk. Valerie Gottschalk, another petitioner, said that she hopes the proposal will gain traction, similar to how the petition to recall Governor Kate Brown did last summer. Proponents were unsuccessful in collecting the 280,000 signatures for the recall election, but Greater Idaho said that it only needs to collect about 2,400 signatures from Josephine County and about 3,000 from Douglas County to appear on the ballot, USA Today reported. People here would prefer Idaho's conservative governance to the progressive liberal current Oregon governance. Every time I look at the Facebook group to Greater Idaho, the group has gotten bigger, Gottschalk said in a news release. Of Oregon's 36 counties, only 14 in the Willamette Valley area would remain in the group if the group succeeds. The newspaper reported, well, it didn't say when. The newspaper reported. The border would require approval from the U.S. Congress as well as the Idaho and Oregon state legislatures, however. The proposal to join Idaho isn't the first effort that Oregonians have made to leave the state. In 1941, residents of southwestern Oregon tried to secede by creating a state of Jefferson with Northern California. Residents of southwestern Oregon. That's weirded word.
Maybe it was a typo.
Weirded word. It might be a typo.
No, but this is crazy. These Democrats should realize this is how desperate people are getting.
Yeah.
They should reflect on themselves and like, man, why do these people want to leave my great state so badly?
Gee,
maybe because it's not so great anymore, and it's sad. Because people don't, they want to leave because they don't have the means or the freedom or the financial freedom to just get up and leave and go to a better state, move to Idaho, move to Texas, move to, South Carolina or all these other remaining red states that are left. There's plenty of them still. And it's sad that people are that desperate to be like, you know what, we've tried and we've tried and we've tried. No one's listening to us. So let's get away from this.
The thing, and you can't, there's a lot of disagreement on the, well, if you don't like your state, you can leave it thing. A lot of people that I've spoken to, they're kind of like, well, you know what? Why should I have to leave just because, you know, the government is doing things that I don't like? Why do I have to take part in things that I don't agree with? Or I get, you know, whereas I could just stay and I can fight for my state. Okay, that's a solid argument. Maybe you should. I mean, I know I'd probably want to fight for my state if things were getting crazy and, you know, I was dealing with some kind of a liberal nut job in my government. I mean, there's always that possibility that, you know, Texas could flip blue. It could happen. Look at, if you've been to Austin lately, you know that Austin's not what it used to be.
Oh no. And not just Austin, you got Houston, you got Dallas, and you got San Antonio now.
All these metro areas, they're very, very crowded, and there's a lot of people there that are pretty weird. And not all people who live in the Dallas, Austin, Houston areas, they're not all weird, but there's a lot of people that you can tell, like, you're not from here, are you? And they look at you funny, like, well, how did you know? I don't know. Maybe it was the purple hair or the 3 nose rings. I didn't know guys wore nose rings until I saw one in Jack Dorsey's face. So what do you think about the possibility of counties being able to move to other states?
If it benefits them, you know, go right ahead. You know, it will take a lot, you know, and also a lot of adjusting, you know, changing of tax rates, you know, for that state. How is it going to affect or benefit farmers in Oregon? And I, you know, this is mostly farmer people, you know, that own a lot of land and produce a lot of goods for, you know, other states. And it takes a lot. And I think that's the only reason why they don't want to leave. They just want to change their state. And maybe they're not benefiting anymore. You know, if their politicians and their political leaders are not listening to them and adding more, you know, either, you know, climate change that restricts a lot of farmers when it comes to, you know, cattle. I don't know if there's cattle up there, but also taxes on produce probably, you know, just because they probably have so many programs, unneeded programs of a bunch of handouts, especially around the Portland area with the homelessness, free education for people that don't deserve it.
Free.
Yeah.
Well,
and it's crazy and it sucks because now you have these people in the rural areas that are actually hardworking. And when I say hardworking, I mean dude, if you've been around a farm, you probably have.
I lived on a farm.
Dude, it is difficult.
Yeah.
That is hard work.
And
no one works that hard no more, really.
And it stinks.
In city areas.
Yeah. No, you don't get that same kind of labor in the city.
Yeah. There's not even a garbage. You know, I would say back in the 90s and 80s, you had the garbage man that knew that hard work, you know, that heavy lifting, the you know, everything that evolves around being a garbage man.
Yeah. The guys
that
who
was
used to
hard
ride
living.
on
That
the
was
back.
hard work. Yeah. The guys that held on, and that's even gone. That's been automated, you know, but the prices still rise, even though there's no more employee that's being paid.
Oh, no, because it's all about the almighty dollar of the profit.
Yeah.
You don't, it's, and where the problem, see, we had this issue with the garbage man. I'm going to throw some anecdotal information at you real quick. The last city I lived in, they had this process where you used to be able to get garbage pickup twice a week. Well, then the Republic trash pickup guy, whatever their industries was, Republic, they put in this bid there in our city and they won a new contract. And so that contract included garbage pickup 1 time per week and then recyclables pickup 1 time per week. So you were all of a sudden forced to recycle certain things. Now, where it got really crazy was twofold. One, because if you were like, well, you know, I'm just not going to recycle, or you didn't rinse your cans out or something like that, they could fine you. The city literally gave them the power to say, well, they're not washing their recyclables, so they could fine you. That's a little bit of overreach, but the bigger problem is there was another company who put in a lower bid, and yet the city still went with Republic. And so this other company ended up suing the city over it. And guess who paid for the whole thing? Taxpayers. And so anytime you get government interjected into anything, it really drives me crazy. Now, to your point about the farmer, the guy who you know, let's look at this. Like, so the initial argument I was giving is, it's like, you can go ahead and say, well, you know, why don't you just move if you don't like the state's policies and whatnot? Well, if you're a farmer, you can't just up and move. You have all that land, all that property that you're using to grow your crops, or maybe
he's probably stuck in a contract, you know, providing food for companies.
Yeah, with the government. Government has all of their own little real weird, what are they called? Subsidies. The government has lots of subsidies, and so there may be a possibility, like if I'm a farmer and I have to up and move to another state but still wish to continue farming, I have to redo all that subsidy paperwork with the government, and that's a nightmare.
Yeah.
So maybe this is,
which costs more money. That paperwork's not free.
No, it's not,
by the way.
And maybe this is the best answer.
Is probably $500 application fee to resubmit everything, and
yeah. And maybe that might be the best answer, is to say, well, you know what, let's just redraw the state lines, because those pukes over there are screwing everything up for the rest of us. And and it's weird, because there's that whole perspective, like all that ideology, everything that taxes go up. Well, okay, well then what happens every time taxes go up? The farmer has to pay more money for taxes, right? At the state level, not the federal level. So at the state level, if you're a farmer and all of a sudden you're getting dinged for more taxes because screw it, liberal government, guess who pays the bill?
You know, it's funny because all these people want raised more welfare, you know, more of the food aid, the food stamps thing or whatever. But the thing is that they don't realize it, because they think like, oh, because the reason why we want more is because cost of living is rising. Or maybe because cost of living is rising because you keep regulating and charging so much, excessive fees to the farmer that's providing you the food.
Yep. Look at the FDA overreach. Oh, we need an FDA so that everything is safe. Okay.
Yeah, how many things that FDA approved that still wasn't safe?
Yeah, the government is wildly inefficient at almost anything. And speaking of government inefficiency and overreach, this is a big one we got to talk about. Bloomberg, he said some pretty radical stuff yesterday. This one is sourced from Forbes.com, and I don't know why there's not more people that are reporting on this, because this is definitely newsworthy, and this guy is going to be on the debate stage. Don't forget. So this should be interesting. By the way,
yeah, Nevada.
Yeah, yep. He made it on the debate stage. He hasn't run in the primaries or nothing, but paid the DNC off, and of course the DNC is like, well, okay, we'll let you in. And you know, Trump calls Mike Bloomberg Mini Mike. It's a well-justified name. The guy's like 5'7". He's super short. Anyway, no, I apologize to any short people. Sorry, you're short.
I'm 5'7", dude. What the hell?
Well, I'm sorry, you're short. Get over it. All right, so source from Forbes.com, Bloomberg said that the U.S. should deny treatment to old people with chronic diseases. Let that sink in for a minute. Yeah. So you remember the death panels we were talking about back with the Obamacare thing? Talking about them again. Here we go, baby. So if you're old and you've got a chronic disease and you vote Democrat, you
don't have the right for life.
You could literally seal your own doom. That's crazy. So if Democratic presidential candidate Mike Bloomberg was 95 years old and had prostate cancer, he could afford advanced and extreme medical care to improve and extend his life. But if a 95-year-old non-billionaire has prostate cancer that requires medical treatment using taxpayer dollars, Bloomberg said in 2011 that he should be denied treatment. If you show up with prostate cancer and you're 95, we should say, go ahead and enjoy and have a nice day. Live a long life. There's no cure and we can't do anything. If you're a young person, we should do something about it, said Bloomberg, a former New York City mayor, also the guy who, by the way, banned certain size sodas, which that's a stupid thing as well. Bloomberg warned that society was not yet willing to make hard choices with respect to treating older Americans, and this is, quote, going to bankrupt us. Okay, I can appreciate the fact that he's being fiscally conservative, but not to the degree where he allows people to be killed. That's a problem.
Yeah, or suffer.
Yeah, or the suffering. That's even worse. Like somebody sit there on their, well, I'm sorry, we can't help you. It just isn't financially viable. Are you kidding me? Bloomberg's 2011 statement surfaced as he released and proposed healthcare plans to retirees' lives, from giving low-income workers access to government-provided retirement savings plans to bolstering Social Security. Yes, because of course he wants to take more money and put it into Social Security because that's worked out so well for us so far. Bloomberg said that he would limit out-of-pocket drug costs and provide federal coverage for long-term care costs. That sounds like Medicare for all. Dr. Robert Butler, who coined the term ageism in 1968, said generations throughout history have justified the futility of granting the aged access to health care due to unfounded ageist beliefs. Butler defined ageism as a process of systematic stereotyping, prejudicial attitude, and direct or indirect discrimination against people because they're old. In his book, Ageism, Another Form of Bigotry, Butler writes, ageism reflects on a deep-seated uneasiness on the part of the young and the middle-aged, a personal revulsion to the distasting for growing old, disease, disability, and fear of powerlessness, uselessness, and death. So, moreover, actually, the article continues. Moreover, Bloomberg's 2011 ramblings while sitting Shiva... Wow, okay. Moreover, Bloomberg's 2011 ramblings while sitting Shiva with a Jewish family also seem profoundly misguided. There are many other criteria that seem just as likely to bankrupt the United States. The U.S. healthcare system is notoriously inefficient and outrageously expensive. It costs 4 times more to run the U.S. healthcare system than the Canada single-payer system. Why is America saddled with the failed system? The U.S. Congress has failed to act in the face of intense lobbying by insurers and pharmaceutical companies and blah, blah, blah. Now we start talking about the pharmaceuticals and the insurance companies and all the other stuff.
Is this the new pro-life, pro-choice movement for elderly now?
Yeah, I think it's going to be. It's because he's going to get asked about this. Maybe not on this debate stage because the Democrats are pushing for him, but if he happens to be the nominee, he's going to be going up against Trump, and Trump's going to be like, "Why do you want to kill me just because I might have a disease at my age?"
Yep, this is crazy.
This shouldn't even be up for discussion. It's insane to think. So I saw this little post the other day. People argue about abortion all the time on Twitter and Facebook and whatever. And of course, everybody's got their own opinion. On this particular discussion, one person said, well, I had an abortion back in 2010. And, if I hadn't had that abortion, then my career wouldn't be where it is today. And I wouldn't be able to justify, I wouldn't be able to take care of my kids the way that I'm taking care of them now. Right. So that's her logic. So there's a person right below her that says, I got married when I was really young, and I could tell that the relationship just wasn't going to work out. So I just went ahead and killed my wife. If I hadn't killed my wife, then the woman that I'm married to now, I wouldn't be fiscally conservatively prepared for, and blah, blah, blah. So along the same concept, this person saying, well, if I hadn't aborted my baby, then I wouldn't be prepared for the babies that came. So the other person responds and says, yeah, if I hadn't murdered my wife, well, then this wife that I'm married to now, our relationship wouldn't be what it is. It's the same logic. You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
So you're going to apply that same logic now to people who are elderly. Well, we can't afford to take care of you, even though you're old. What kind of a dirty, sick, and twisted person would put money against a human life?
Mm-hmm.
How do you break this down in your head? What do you think?
There's an actual episode on Star Trek about this.
Well, let's talk about it. Come on, talk. Come on.
Yeah, no. So it's about this race who kill their people at the age of 55.
Oh, you had a good life.
Yeah, exactly. And what their argument was, it was a burden on their society. It's insane. And unfortunately, because of, the rules and regulations that Starfleet has, they couldn't interfere with other societies' beliefs. They can't, they can't play it. But still, it's kind of crazy, because you get to see both sides. Like, well, they call it the time of ascension, giving up your life. It's now part of their society. It's like, all right, I got to go to my appointment. I'm 55 now. I got to go.
Damn.
And it's a whole ceremony. The family goes and everything. But it's crazy. I feel like we're getting there, and it's insane. We should not see people like that as a burden, because they're not. You have veterans. You have not even veterans. You have scholars, philosophers. They they have a lot to teach us still if we're willing to listen. But now today's what Bloomberg's thinking is, siding with the millennial, is that we know everything already. We don't need you anymore. And that's not the way to think.
That's a horrible way to look at things.
Yep.
So there it is. I don't know. I'm at a loss for words. I just couldn't imagine being like, well, Grandma, you had a good run. I'm real sorry that you broke your leg.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
You got to think like Mother Teresa wouldn't even be around.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of great people that would have never poured out any of their wisdom. Some of the, like, Colonel Sanders, we wouldn't have KFC if this kind of a thing was implemented, because he didn't develop KFC until he was like in his mid 60s. So
yeah, it's insane, dude, and it's sad that we're coming that way, and it's unfortunate. And I feel like we're doing the blame game.
Yeah, who
do we blame of this deficit? Let's blame the old people because they seeking medical care and they're not paying for it.
Yeah, this is absolutely sick. If anybody in any way, shape, or form is willing to vote for this kind of garbage, hey, God have mercy on your soul. I'd hate to be the person that has to answer for something like this. Oh, I don't believe in God. All right, that's fine. Well, guess what? Call it karma. Karma always comes around.
And it sucks because like Bloomberg won't learn this lesson because he has money to save him.
Oh yeah. He's well off. It's not his problem. You don't think about these kinds of situations when it would be you. He's not thinking about that. He's thinking about like, well, we got to solve, maybe what is it? The greater good. Is that how he's trying to look at this? Like, well, this is the greater good for the rest of society.
I need to make these hard choices.
Yeah. The needs of many outweigh the needs of few. Is that how that goes?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here's a news flash there for you, Bloomberg. My needs outweigh your needs. So good luck in 2020. Because you ain't getting my vote, dirtbag. So, well, that was fun. Moving forward, Jacob, let's go ahead and get started on digging out.
Yeah, digging out. Well, the first part about digging yourself out, and we've talked about this numerous times, and this time I'm really going to focus onto this now, and that portion of the episode is taking control of your life again, getting your life back. And that means numerous things. People are like, what do you mean? I'm not in drugs, or I'm not in this. No. It's just like, what I mean by that, I mean like sitting down and really realizing things that you can kind of change, especially if you're those people that like to play the blame game. And there's politicians that do this, that be like, well, it's not my fault, it's his fault, or it's not this, it's not that. Well, I don't like school, it's my professor.
It's always somebody else's fault or somebody else's problem or something that somebody else did, right?
Yeah. Oh, my life sucks. It's just my it's just where I'm at in life. It's because I wasn't born from a rich family. It's because I was born and stuck in the projects and
white privilege.
Or I was a peasant or this and that. It doesn't matter. The first step to be out of this 10 steps of this episode, getting your life back, is realizing that life is not happening to you. It is responding to you, especially when you're at an age now. I would say 15, I think, to 20, which should be the enough gap age to learn enough to understand that, you have control. That's one thing God gave us, is the right to choose. And so that right there is choosing between what's right and what's wrong.
I like that.
And everyone wants to blame the parents. Well, my mom never taught me this, or my dad was never around. No, that's naiveness.
Naivety.
I had mentors. I've learned from other people, or I was blessed enough to have a teacher to teach me this, my history teacher, or, I found, or a message or a book I've read, it could be anything, God forsake, I don't even like to do this, but like Harry Potter will even tell you, if you just read the books and take the message what the writer was trying to give you, or was it meant to be?
That's funny, because wasn't Harry Potter loosely based on the Bible?
Yep.
Yeah. J.K. Rowling, well, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, but okay. So what I meant by realizing that life is not happening to you and responding to you, it's the energy that you give. Me and Jeremy bring this up all the time. The energy that you give off begins with your own mind. If you think positive thoughts, you'll start seeing positive things happen, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm. The power of the subconscious.
Yep. Think of your mind as a factory where your reality gets manufactured based on what you order. If you order laziness, guess what? You're going to get laziness. Mm-hmm. If you just want to sit around the couch and just indulge and just keep indulging without really benefiting from your time, then guess what? You're going to get obese. You're going to get, then health becomes an issue, and so on and so forth. So every time, and then right there and then you start getting the negative thoughts coming in. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm like this because there's no gym nearby me. Or gym's not free.
Free gyms for everybody. You get a gym. Yeah. You get a gym.
Yeah. So every time you have a negative thought and let it play on repeat in your brain over and over and over, you order that reality, and it has no choice but to exist in your reality.
This is something that happens a lot with people who have post-traumatic stress.
Yes, it does. And I found myself in that hole.
Yeah, we get into that place where we're like, well, woe was me. This shouldn't have happened to me, or this shouldn't have happened to my friends, or I miss my friends, or whatever. And you get stuck in that hole. And something I was telling you about earlier before the podcast, this is like when you've gone so far deep into the darkness and you fail to acknowledge that this is just simply the absence of light, then yeah, obviously you're going to remain in that dark place. And that's where I find most of my joy is the fact that I've been in such a dark place in my life that it made it that much easier to come so much further into the light, because I'm grateful that I'm not there anymore.
Yep. And so that being said, it's funny that you start saying that. If you start cultivating more positive thoughts, so you can manufacture a much higher quality of reality. So that's the basic thing, is the more positive thoughts and the more times and the more positive thoughts you have with the more positive people that you put around you in your circle, the much higher quality of reality that you will have.
So you become who you hang around with, in essence. Like, show me, the old saying goes like, show me who you hang out with and I'll show you where you'll be in 10 years. Yeah. Same concept.
Now, the second step I would like to cover is don't ever give your power away to anything outside yourself.
So what do you mean by that?
Like, instead of taking responsibility of our lives, many of us find it easier and more convenient to place the blame on things on people outside of ourselves.
Okay.
If we don't like our job, we blame our boss, or, I don't like my unit because of this and that, this and that. That's what we do. And rather than getting mad at ourselves for choosing the job we don't enjoy.
Interesting. So failing to take responsibility. I've had you see that a lot on the social media too. The popular meme that goes around is like, people don't leave jobs because they hate the job. People leave jobs because of bad leadership. Right. Well, what are you doing to combat the bad leadership? Maybe do the right thing any damn way.
Yeah, excel in your job.
Yeah,
and
excel at it.
Stuck and you're blaming. That means you chose the wrong job if you're not happy in doing it.
Yeah, well, if that's the job itself, but if there is poor leadership and it's legitimately poor leadership, why would you leave the job? That's the equivalent of quitting just because you don't like the product, or you don't like it. When I was working at the post office, same story. Like, I'm not a big fan of mailing stuff. The post office kind of sucks, to be honest with you, but if I'm considering all of the factors and everything that goes along with it, like, I wanted to be there and do something different and make the environment better. And so by up and just leaving the job, what did I really accomplish? Nothing.
And here's another way to put it for our listeners. If we get sick, we blame others for spreading the illness rather than ourselves for not taking care of our own immune system.
This is true. The China, the coronavirus, everybody's saying that this was possibly a manufactured thing in China. Well, okay, maybe it was. I don't know. I don't have the facts yet. We don't know this for sure. But if it was, or if it wasn't, like, everybody's outraged at China. Do you think China gives a damn if you're mad?
No.
So quit being mad at China.
And then just thinking of that, listeners, just know how many times a day you give away your power to things outside yourself. You might be astounded at what you find. Seriously, I've done reflecting on it on myself, this morning. And then once you accept that role that you are the captain of your own ship, your own vessel, no people, no places or events outside yourself will ever have the ability to steer your vessel again.
I agree.
Yep. So step number 3, listen to your own heart. That's one thing I've lacked in it for many, many, many years. I've never really sat down and really listened to my own heart. Other people can offer their opinions about what direction you should take your life, but you get to make that ultimate decision. You know your heart better than anyone else. So don't let others dictate your life. The only way to live authentic is purposely, the only way to live authentic, a purposeful life, is through your own heart. So start listening to what it's telling you. And that goes more hand in hand with what Jeremy's going to cover tomorrow, especially if you're a spiritual person. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh.
I just didn't really have a response to that. I'm like,
oh, okay.
What am I covering tomorrow?
Yeah.
So when you
just listen to your heart.
Elaborate a little bit. When you say follow your heart, listen to your heart, like that sounds like like a Hollywood trope almost. What exactly are we talking about?
Some people will say, like, you're doing things to fit in, or kind of like you're getting a business degree because that's what's excelling. You're getting an IS, information as a systems degree because that's what's trending now for jobs and work and stuff like that. But instead of what you're powerful and what you're passionate about, what your heart feels strong about, like for me, for the longest time, I got a business degree, I got a history, trying to find my way to fit in life.
Okay.
And I never really listened to my heart and what I was really passionate about. And I'm really passionate about filmmaking and music and what moves me emotionally. And so that, for the longest time, I really found my place here. I'm really happy what I'm doing in school. And I'm 36. It took me 36 years to realize that.
Interesting.
Of me not listening to my heart. And, one thing I always tell people not to do sometimes is continuously daydreaming without acting. You're sitting there thinking the what if factor, and you're going to get stuck over and over and over with that factor and not really acting on it. And it took me a long time. And it actually took a stern talking from my wife to really, she's told me, like, I see you doing things and quitting it, doing this and quitting and doing this and quitting it. Why don't you really sit down and listen to your heart and really focus on something that you're really passionate about and see it through? And not just see it through, but see if your heart will allow you to see it through. And that means that's something that you're really passionate to go forward with.
Somebody explained to me one time, similar along these lines, where they were talking about, if you're doing what makes you happy, you'll never actually work a day in your life or whatever. And kind of along those same lines, I realized at one point, like, with all the experiences that we've had over the years, like, I really enjoy speaking. I've spoken in front of churches. I've spoken in front of students, that kind of a thing. I just found myself to really enjoy being able to get up there and tell some stories and make people laugh and have a good time about it. And most people get really nervous about public speaking.
Yeah, I don't.
It doesn't bother me. Like I said, churches, students, funeral, I've done it all. Whatever you got, I've done it. We used to speak in front of some of the Iraqi police and try to teach them how to use simple things like range cards. That was a different story. And it never really dawned on me that that was something that I could actually potentially do to follow my heart, if you will. And then what, it was a little over a year and a half ago, you messaged me and you were like, hey, how would you like to be in a podcast? I'm like, yeah, hello, let's do it. And here we are.
Yeah.
All right.
Now, the next step 4 is learn. And this is hard for a lot of people. It really is. And a lot of predicaments go into this and why it will be hard. And you'll understand, Jeremy, once I read it, is learn to say no to things or to people that don't resonate with you.
Yeah.
Take command of your life means getting honest with yourself about what friends and activities bring out the best of yourself and which ones no longer serve you, the greater you. This way you will give yourself room to say to people and activities that actually serve you best interest and elevate your consciousness.
I like that, because I just respond anecdotally, because that's what I always do. For me personally, one of the things that I dealt with right after I got out of the military was alcohol. Loved drinking, absolutely loved it. And I just I'd hang out with anybody that wanted to have a beer. That's just like, yeah, what are we doing Saturday night? We're going to get drunk. That's what we're going to do. You want to do anything else? What else is there to do? That was my perspective. And so for the longest time, I was just a drinker. That's what I did. Saturday night, get a case of Miller Lite, or if I was feeling real fancy, I'd get Rolling Rock or something like that. Well, anyway, eventually I figured out that that's not something that really serves me well. And I should probably maybe reconsider
and say no often.
Yeah, not drinking so much.
Yeah.
And so
same here. We've probably been in a different place financially as well.
Oh yeah, dude. When I got out of the military, I didn't have anything. I had like $3,000 to my name, and I didn't know where I was going or what I was going to do.
Then you had a family, and making now you're like, oh crap, what do I do?
Yeah, you get
out. But now
like,
we've learned from those lessons.
Well, because you know the thing is you thought that getting out, like, well, I'm military. I just got out of the military. I just served 2 tours in Iraq. People are going to want me to work for them. That was my thought process. Like, no, you don't understand. These people, they're going to want me. And I would
say good 90% people feel the same. I was in that boat too.
Yeah.
But
we were, and I was way off.
But I was opposite than you, Jeremy. I didn't like drinking in the military. I drank because I couldn't learn how to say no.
Interesting. So that's one thing I'm really good at, is telling people no.
I couldn't. I'm like, oh, let's go do this. I'll look at my bank account. I'll have $30. Let's go to El Paso, go have a drink. Like, I don't have money for it, but you know what the hell? Let's go.
Well, that was back in the military days. You did $30. Like, that's, dude. If we buy Natural Light, that's 30 beers. We're good. Let's go.
No, but yeah. So this took me a while again to get there, and understanding how to say no to a lot of things. And to this day, I still do. Like, if it doesn't suit me, or, if it's coming in a way with my family or my great friends that I keep around me, because, my friends are different from listeners. I'm not judging you by your friends, but I guarantee you my friends are a little bit different, because I choose my friends. I have a higher standard in picking my friends. And I understand when I know, like, if I really truly needed something, they will be there for me. Like you, my buddy Landis, James, I'll start calling out names because I know how great they are. If I needed them at a drop of a dime, they'll come over here. I have a friend named Zach that lives in Korea. Dude, when I was going around a few years ago thinking about opening up a shop down in San Antonio, this is before we started doing the podcast, Jeremy, he was like, dude, let me know. I'll fly right now.
Yeah. Just like that.
Yeah. And it's because I finally started realizing, the potential I had to learn more and become better. And once I figured that out, I started sharing it with others. And then from there, they clicked on the light bulb, like, you know what, man, I need to start reading more, or I need to start doing this more, and start, it's okay to watch trash TV once in a while, but start choosing your programs more. Movies, the right movies,
what does it,
and people are like, oh, movies are just a waste. No, not all of them. A lot of them do have good messages to give out.
Well, you can learn anything from anything. I mean, yeah, granted, I'm not going to be watching Aladdin and expecting to grow from it, but you know, maybe that's bonding time with my kids. You know, there's different, there's just different scenarios and different methods for how does this build me as a person? That's essentially the point.
Now, step 5, Jeremy, I thought about you about this, and I had to put it in there. Step 5 is take charge of your own health. As long as you have your health, you have everything. Make a pact with yourself to practice a healthier, more wholesome lifestyle that includes a lot of more whole foods, fruits and vegetables, clean, fresh water, adequate sleep, moderate exercise. By making small changes each day, you can transform your health and consequently increase your lifespan,
longevity,
or extend, and honor your body and choose foods and drinks that will give you life. And another reason why I picked, take charge of your health. Don't hand it over to a doctor. Don't make him make the decisions for you.
Yeah, discuss
now with today's technology. Figure out exactly how your body is and this and that. You have other means to get a second opinion, either on your own or grab another person or professional opinion. But still to this day, I was really inspired what you said, Jeremy. You're like, well, my level still went up. I know I'm going to make this drastic choice to see what it makes me healthier in my own way.
Yeah. And a large part of it is just because I'm fed up of playing the food pyramid game and all that stuff. But the other thing is like we are an extremely lazy country, an extremely lazy nation. We don't ever get up off of our butts and go to the gym. I mean, not
or even go for a walk outside.
Or even go for a walk. And that's not all of us. Granted, there's a lot of people that are very active, and it shows in some of the people. And everybody's got this weird thing, right? So like a lot of women, I don't want to go to the gym because I don't want to look like a man. I don't want to get swollen and look like a pro wrestler or anything. I'm like, listen, ladies, listen, it's so difficult for a woman to get built like a man in the first place. Okay. You don't have the genetics for it. 95% of women do not have these types of genetics. So just shut up, get on the treadmill, quit eating the donuts, and lift a damn weight.
Go. That goes for men too.
Yeah. You lazy pricks. Do something. Jeez.
Yeah. Just take control of your health. Don't blame it on, well, my doctor, this, that, or I don't have money for health care.
My leg hurts.
You wouldn't need that, especially when it's involving obesity or diet. When it comes down to diet, you're in control of that. Again, it goes back to the other steps. You are the master of your own life.
That's right. I always get really frustrated when I talk about fitness with people and that person or those people or whatever. And they're like, well, I really can't exercise. I'm like, really? You can't? Interesting.
You reminded me of something, Jeremy. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I was watching Bob's Burger last night. It was a little thing while we're waiting for the rice to get cooked. We're steaming some rice and we're watching Bob's Burger, and it was about the gym. And the guy said something brilliant that, the business next door to Bob's is always changing. Now there's a new gym there.
Okay.
And he said, Bob and his wife went to the gym for the first day, and the next day they were sore. They just couldn't get out of bed and all that. And the guy from the gym comes over and he's like, hey, y'all coming back? They're like, nah, we want to end our membership. He's like, well, you signed a contract. You're in here for a year or two, and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, well, we're going to try to figure out how to cancel it, or we're just going to pay and not go. And he's like, oh, that's great. I love customers like you that pay for my rent and never show up.
Yeah. That's the biggest, weirdest thing in the world. Like first of all, a lot of these fitness clubs, like you don't actually have to sign contracts for. I'm not under a contract. Yeah. I think it's crazy that they require contracts. Like if your fitness club or your gym is so crappy that they have to have a contract, maybe you ought to shop around a little bit more. And by the way, don't go to Planet Fitness. Planet Fitness sucks. I don't care. I'm going to piss somebody off on that, but that's a different story. But you're absolutely right. Business owners, they get people who are like, well, it's $10 a month. It's whatever. I'm not going to cancel the contract. I might want to go to the gym one day. You just never know.
Yeah. But they don't know the owners of these gyms love people like that. Keep throwing your money, even though you don't utilize my equipment.
Absolutely.
You're freeing up my gym for the people that really want to improve themselves.
Absolutely. You spend more time per week watching and binging on Netflix than you do even thinking about setting foot in a gym. You're going to spend the same amount of money on the gym membership or the Netflix anyways. You might as well get something out of it. So damn, improve your life. I agree. Boom.
And speaking of bills, that goes into number 6. Look for a new job if it makes you unhappy. None of us came here just to pay bills and taxes. We came here to change the world. That's the kind of frame of thought you need to start having in your brain, that frame of thinking. If your job makes you feel like just another cog in the wheel and doesn't allow you to follow your true purpose, don't think twice about leaving it behind. Start looking in the classifieds, Indeed, Monster. I can go on forever for other resources to look for a job. While we do live in a monetary system where we must pay to survive at the moment, plenty of people create their own jobs that support their highest mission. With a little bit of elbow grease and commitment, you can do this too. Think about how liberating yourself would feel to do something you love and still get paid for it. That goes back to the other steps. You see how these are all going hand to hand, Jeremy?
So we should clarify one thing, because we were talking a little bit about this earlier, being in the leadership of your current employment. Like, don't leave your job just because you've got a bad leader. Outperform him and get promoted over him, or don't try to, like,
especially if you love your job.
You just don't, like, I love the job, I just can't stand my boss. Like, well, then surpass him, do something about it, be better. You can take the high road. And you know what, here's the funny thing. Somebody was talking about this not too long ago, and I'm not trying to delineate from your point, but all I'm trying to say is like, in every situation, you need to be trusted. So the people that you work for, this is a Jocko Willink concept. The people that you work for, the people that you're under, you need to establish relationship with them first and foremost, so that you can develop certain levels of trust. And if you don't have any trust between you and that individual, well, then obviously you're not going to work together. And yeah, you're going to be like, well, he's a toxic leader and whatever. But did you take the time to develop any kind of relationship with him? And because how many people are really going to be like, well, you know what, that's not why we're here. We're here to work. How many leaders are going to be like that? Maybe the fresh new ones that won't last very long, but the typical leader, like you did this when you were working at Bass Pro, and that young lady that we were talking about, you developed a relationship with her, trying to show her, like, look, you can go places if you choose to. You even gave her the book. You poured your time and your energy into her, and you let her know, like, there's a better way. And what did she do with that in response? She was like, well, I was really tired and I just didn't have time.
Yeah.
So
she was off for like 3 days straight. And I asked her during those 3 days off, I was like, so did you read the book? Well, I meant to.
Yeah, I was gonna,
really
but
tired.
I was just like, I'd rather sleep. Whatever. Establish relationship with your leadership that way. And here's an even bigger point to this, is all Jocko Willink stuff, not mine, but even bigger to the point where if they give you a task and they expect it to be carried out a certain way, and it's just a minor, minuscule text, just do it. Just get it done. Make sure that, it's up to snuff and up to standard, and you're not doing anything you shouldn't be doing, obviously. But when it comes time for bigger decisions, and there's a better way, well, now you've got relationship established with this guy. Now you know that he trusts you to carry out certain tasks, and he keeps giving you bigger and bigger and bigger tasks. So when you come to him and you say, hey, you told me to do XYZ, I kind of see a different method that let's talk about this, because XYZ is going to present this problem. So here's my solution. What if we try ABC rather than XYZ? Right? And so you've got a supervisor who you've got a relationship established, who is trusted. He's seen you carry out tasks time and time again, and you're trusted with all of those tasks. And then you present an idea that might be slightly different from what he had in mind, but it makes him look good to his peers or whatever. Well, your whole work lifestyle is going to be a whole different ball game. You're going to enjoy it more. And rant.
Yep. So number 7, forget about the norms. If you really want to take command of your life, this is one thing millennials forget. you will have to get comfortable with living to the beat of your own drum. Too many people fall in line just because it feels safe, not because it feels right. They fear others judging them and don't want to become alienated or ridiculed. However, even if the uncharted path seems lonely at first, you will never know what lies ahead of you. This journey. Create your own life, your own terms, and don't worry about what other people think. You didn't come here to blend in. You were born to stand out. Don't, and this goes hand in hand in music videos, MTV, this and that. Everyone wants to live that mansion, that bling, the Jordans, all this just to live the norm and not live on your own, the beating of your own drum. And it took me until I got married to my wife to realize this, because I was one of those people that wanted to live with the keep going, like, oh, I have this money now, let's do this, or trying to keep up with the Benjamins, I always say, and just not really living life the way I want to live it, and not because what I saw on TV.
So I got to be different from everybody else. Does that mean that the man bun and the craft beers is out?
I don't know.
Dang it. I was really looking forward to that man bun.
Yeah. Just, and this goes into a whole lot of things. Like, me and Jeremy might not agree on a whole lot of things sometimes, but one thing we do know is we live our own life the way we want to live it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we certainly don't agree on everything.
No. Now, number 8, do more at what makes you happy. Many people shy away from new opportunities, activities, because they fear failure. Failure is part of life. Failure is a rehearsal, or they live in fear of what others think. However, both of these fears can feel like a prison to most and allow them to stand away from things that really make them happy. The longer you wonder about the outcome, the more time you waste, instead of living. Living intentionally means taking charge of your own happiness. So take action and start following your own bliss. Well, that was one thing, I talking to my wife about last night, was like, man, we've been so caught up in unpacking and this and that. We really haven't done anything that really made us happy lately. And so we decided upon ourselves when our son fell asleep, like, let's read a book, or let's do this and that, together, that what we enjoyed doing together. Mm-hmm. And like this morning now, I started my routine of like drinking a full glass of water, like how I used to. Now, even though we're not fully settled in yet, let's not forget what makes us happy to kind of get our day going and remain in that positive lifestyle.
So you said something there early on in the beginning. Everybody fears failure. Mm-hmm. And that's one of my big pet peeves, is when people are afraid to fail. Because the thing is, with failure, like, that's just the learning process is all it is. It's mm-hmm. It's just that society has demonized failure as if failure is somehow part of, like, that's the end of it. Like, well, I tried something, it didn't work, so
I'm out of my 3 lives.
I'm out. I'm done. Right. So I, not too long ago, I was driving back, actually right after I visited you in Dallas the last time. I stopped at a Buc-ee's, and in the Buc-ee's, I was gonna pick up something to eat and then grab some stuff for little gifts for the kids, because I'm on the road and I always kind of try to bring them back to something stupid, whatever. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I brought back was this little sign that I found that fit Ashley's situation perfectly, because she was going through real estate school and she was feeling some failure at the time, because the course, it can be difficult for some people, and she didn't pass the test the first time around. And so she felt like a complete failure because I missed one question. I won too many questions. I missed them. She had like a 50. I don't remember what it was. Anyway, she missed one question, and she was pretty down on herself about it because she studied hard and blah, blah, blah. Well, so I'm there and I'm looking for all these little gifts, and there's a sign there at the Buc-ee's that says, if you stumble, make it part of the dance. And that, mm-hmm. like, right there was like that revelation moment where I'm like, oh my gosh, that's it. If you, like, you're going to fail, you're going to make mistakes. Of course you are, because you're human. Everybody makes mistakes. There's nobody who's perfect. Bill Gates has made mistakes. Steve Jobs has made mistakes. Ronald Reagan made mistakes. Donald Trump's made mistakes. Why are we like so ego driven that we can't even understand that, like, duh, you're going to make mistakes.
It's funny you brought up Steve Jobs. He made so many mistakes, guys, that he was fired from Apple.
Yeah, that was a mistake on Apple's part too.
Yeah. And then now, you know, he came back before he passed, but still, it's lessons.
Yeah, own it. Get it, because you know when the board of directors had to go back and say, well, you know, Steve, we kind of made a mistake. I think we need you back. That, I mean, what choice did they have? It's like, well, we either go get Steve back or we're out of a job.
Yeah, but he was never, you know, one thing that it goes back to step 8 is that he did not stop doing what had made him happy.
No, he did it his way.
Computers. Yeah, he just did it his own way. Now, number 9, Jeremy, this is something we kind of found the foundation of Retired on, is live within your means.
Mm-hmm.
This one can totally resonate, kind of change your life, because you have a clear picture of what you need to survive. Do you really need to go shopping for new clothes every week? Do you absolutely need that new iPhone, or can you still use the one you currently have? Many people spend way more than they earn, and they feel stressed because of the financial situation they put themselves in. Sell what you really don't need.
Mm-hmm.
Only buy things that add to your well-being. Like, that's one of the things, like, even now, you know, we found out, you know, during this move that, man, we have so much stuff that we don't need. When was the last time we used that? Get rid of it. When was the last time we used that? Get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if it's not something we use daily or doesn't better ourselves, get rid of it.
I agree. Especially with the expenditures part. You know, I don't buy a lot of stuff for myself. Like if you look at this sweatshirt, Russell, you know what Russell is? Russell's a Walmart brand. I'm not going to spend a lot of money on anything. And I bought it on clearance. I didn't buy it when it was, you know, fresh and brand new and all that crap. It's I'm like, no, I just need a sweatshirt. Oh, this one's on clearance. It looks okay, I guess. Whatever. It'll work. The other day I was at Sam's Club, and I was thinking about when we would go camping, and how sometimes it gets cold. Like that day that we went camping and then we got rained out. It was really cold that day, right? And so it just so happened that there was some Coleman thermal pants that were on sale there at Sam's Club. They were originally like $25. Well, they were just trying to get rid of inventory. Apparently not enough people wanted them because we live in West Texas and it doesn't usually get cold here. And they were only $6. Well, $6.70 something. So it was $7 a pair. So I bought like 4 of them. You know, I didn't spend an arm and a leg on them. I just happened across something. It was a good deal. I could use it. Bam, I'll pick it up. But I wouldn't have never, ever in a million years paid $25 for those pants, even though they are very comfortable.
No, yeah. And number 10, Jeremy, I got this from you. I put this in last because I noticed you started doing it. Me and Alex do this a lot. And we actually don't really share it with a lot of people, but we do this, is become more mindful. Meditation can greatly help with this. Becoming more aware of yourself and the universe will teach you to take full responsibility for yourself and what happens to you.
Yep.
It will give you more discipline and mental strength and take you out of the habit of living on autopilot. As the master of your reality, you must take full responsibility for the quality of life you lead. Cultivating more awareness will allow you to move into the space of actively creating your life instead of watching passively from the sidelines. And I brought this up because you said something very powerful yesterday, is that when you were meditating, you realized something differently and you got reassured at church.
Yep. It turned out, and we did cover this yesterday, but I'll go into a little bit of detail in case you didn't catch that episode. I try to meditate in the mornings to kind of set the pace for the day. And the level of awareness that you're given when you're meditating is interesting because you become aware of such small, minute things, such as your chest rising and falling and all the muscular movements and the skeletal movements and the organic movements that are taking place within the inside of your body. And when you become aware of those simple things, you can't help but be grateful for them. You know, there's somebody today that woke up who lost movement in their feet or in their legs or in their arms, or somebody today had a stroke and they didn't catch it in time and now they're paralyzed on their left side, or somebody was in a car accident and they lost an arm. There's bad stuff that happens to people all the time. And yet here I sit with 2 arms, 2 legs, fully functioning, fully breathing. Everything works the way that's supposed to, except for tinnitus. Thanks a lot. And I've got nothing to be upset about because I'm still alive. I'm still here. Like, that's something to be grateful for. So for anybody who's ever struggling with anything, like, you've got the nerve to sit there and be ungrateful when you've got full use of arms, legs, back. You're like, well, my lower back hurts. Yeah, because you're not exercising. You're not doing anything with it. Unless you've got rods in your back or you've got it surgically repaired, you don't get a pass. So, so if you just stop what you're doing and take a step back, meditate 10 minutes, 5 minutes, doesn't take much. Look a video up on YouTube and become aware of everything that's going on around you. You cannot help but be grateful when you understand that your body is in full function, and that clears up your mind. And that for all of the day's business. So yeah, okay, man, yesterday wasn't the best day. Like, I had all this stuff that I wanted to do. I had to clean my house. I wanted to patch up some spots on the wall. I didn't get the vacuum out and get the car. What? Who cares? Who cares? Mm-hmm. Can it be done today? Of course it can. So why would you live in that world of despair when you woke up yet again today and everything is functioning the way that it's supposed to? Mm-hmm. So
yeah, especially when you with that type of meditation, you clearly see that a lot of it, and probably 100% of it, was in your control.
Yeah,
most likely.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I could have stopped it at any time. I got to slow down, rewind, fast forwarded. I got more important things to do. Any of that, but I didn't because I wanted to stay wholesome in my mind. I wanted to stay focused. I wanted to be grateful, and I wanted to give my family the love and adoration that they deserve. And for me to be able to love them fully, I have to first be in a place where I don't hate myself.
Yeah.
And that's what that's what this is all about, is the digging out, finding ways to love yourself rather than hate yourself. And that sounds like such a hippie thing to say, doesn't it?
It does. But if you have clear thought and a clear focus on all of your everyday life, it becomes easier and it becomes habitual. It becomes a habit.
Some of the greatest minds in the world do the same thing. They do all this stuff. They do the exercises. They get up earlier in the morning. They get up before everybody else is up and knock out some stuff that maybe needs to be knocked out, or go to the gym, or focus on new things, or meditations, or there's another thing. I keep forgetting the word, but it's where your confessions over yourself, you're confessing like, I am a successful person. I am a fit person. I am blah, 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 because then your subconscious takes over and like, these people believe that they are who they say that they are. And the person who doesn't do like any of this stuff, then they keep falling back into the same traps. And you see it time and time again. They get on their Twitter machine, they get on Facebook, they get on whatever. And what do? The first thing is they start complaining about life. Well, here we go. My kid is sick. You know what? My kid had a fever last night. She's still alive. We monitored. We took care of her. She's hydrated. Everything is fine. Did I get on Facebook this morning and start about it? Nope. You know why? Because I already believe that she's going to be perfectly fine. Her body's going to do what it needs to do. She's adapted. We're fine. Life is not that complicated. We make it so.
Yep. And we're the masters of our own universe.
That's right. Any other insight?
Nope, that's it. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the first episode of 10 of the Digging Out series. And I hope you enjoyed. We still have so much unpacking to do to get, yourself out of that hole and not be exactly where me and Jeremy are, because we're totally different people in our own path, but be somewhere that on your own path that you have a good starting point to eventually be at that place that you've always wanted to be at.
Oh, and by the way, don't take that as if like we're absolutely at the peak, like we know where we're going and what we're doing.
Oh no, we're still on the journey.
I got a long way to go. I'm imperfect as hell, baby. Matter of fact, I'm so imperfect, I think I should go do some freaking push-ups.
Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, see you later.